The biggest records I've ever been a part of just flow.
Yeah.
And that's not true. Story of the year was a fucking pain.
Things have changed so much. Last time we were here chatting, we talked about like there's something really special about getting in a van and going on tour, right? And like a lot of the music scene right now and some of these kids on social media, I feel like that think it's like an automatic overnight thing. You know, what's your perspective on that? Like from your side of the music industry, like creating this, you know, creating music and producing and all of that. Like how do you adapt to changes in the industry?
It's like, I mean, everything's changed to a certain extent, but nothing has really changed.
Right.
Like, you got to sell one t-shirt at a time. You got to meet one fan at a time.
Yeah.
And those fans that you shake hands with, take pictures with, like, you know, sell the t-shirt to, sign the t-shirt, those are fans for life.
Yeah.
You know, you get like a like on TikTok or any kind of reply on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's not the same depth as when you're out there doing it. And I just try and convince young bands to go out, whatever bands they look up to, like go, if it's the 1975, go to one of their shows and go busk outside the show and go meet their fans. Try and make their fans your fans. You know what I mean? Play music wherever you are. Just play music, you know, live.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that's what people want. They want something real that they can like feel.
Yeah.
And of course, all the social medias, they're great marketing tools and it's all great, but I don't know if it's really a place to build like a career from the very beginning. I still believe in getting in a van, getting in a car, whatever. We had a Dodge Colt when Goldfinger first started. So I had my Dodge Colt with like, you know, we would just do backline gear and just the four of us would be driving around playing shows in my little fucking $100 car with the Pennywise and NoFX bumper stickers all over it, you know, that was it. And it's like, it's not, I mean, we used to wallpaper paste flyers all over Sunset Boulevard, right? I mean, that was how we marketed and promoted our shows, or I'd be outside, you know, at Bad Religion show handing out flyers, you know, to say, or the first Warped Tour in '94 I went to and I was handing out cassettes, you know, like, and if you don't know what a cassette is, you can, I just, and I don't think it's, you know, it's the same thing now. It's like you're still promoting songs, you're promoting your music, and it's just, you know, kind of, I guess, in a different way, but the playing part of it hasn't changed that drastically.
Yeah.
You know, I go see shows with my kids. My daughter's really into pop music. It's like, you know, and I took her to Coachella last year, and she's just out there, whatever.
Yeah.
And like watching the show, wanting to meet the artist, wanting to buy the merch, you know? The whole thing. She's a music fan.
Yeah, that'll never go away.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I agree. And through doing that, you are honing in on your craft, right? Like I think I talk to a lot of kids that want that magic moment. And it's like, once that happens, this is going to happen. Everything cascades after that. And it's not. It's so hard to fathom the years of hustle that you have to do to create that. And that will never go away. And that's what I used to do. I used to go to Kinko's and like flyer shows and just email bands. Yes, it's harder now. Where like I emailed the Aquabats to like make them drums and stuff. It was a little bit easier pre the internet now, but the honing in of your craft and just repeating it and doing it over and over and learning, right? Being told no and maybe that you suck or that they don't like you. You go and like hone in on your craft.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. And it's like, I still check all my messages on Instagram. I'm always looking, and I'm always looking at, you know, music people send me. So, I mean, it's the same thing. It's like an email or a message or whatever. Wherever I get it, it's still music. And whenever I hear something that's like, holy shit, that is unique. Like when I first heard 21 Pilots, I'm like, this is rad. You know? And that's so much part of the whole thing is like, what are you doing that isn't what everyone else is doing?
Yes.
You know, like what separates you from everybody else, you know? And I feel like the drive is even more important than talent. You know, talent's important, but like the drive is like, how hard are you gonna go? Like I've worked a lot with that kid Youngblood and, you know, he's got drive more than I've seen in a minute from a lot of, a lot of other artists. He's just got crazy drive, and it's like when you see him everywhere, he's just constantly doing it. When I was working with 5 Seconds of Summer, they were the same way, just like meeting every fan, replying to every, comment on Instagram, just like they were just engaged in making their fans feel like they're important, which they are.
Totally.
I mean, what are you unless there's people coming to see you play?
Exactly.
I mean, for me, it's about like getting my music out to as many people as possible, so I can, so I want all my bands I work with to headline the Reading Festival, all my artists to, you know what I mean, like headline leads. It's like that's what I want.
Yeah.
And not everybody wants that, I mean, that's the truth. And I've worked with artists that just they just want to play clubs, be in a van, and or play a VA hall, and that's their goal, and that's cool. But that's not really what I want to do.
Yeah, totally. Has your filter for that sound, like when you heard 21 Pilots or when you hear a new band now, has that filter changed? Or you have such a style that I've been drawn to my whole life. Has that changed for you, or are you very one way of like, this is the sound that I'm looking for done in a different way, or does that filter evolve? And if it does, what is that process for you of evolution? What draws, that
Well,
sound?
I mean, back in, I think about the Used a lot, and I think about like how they came into my life.
Yeah.
They were also drawn to, I'd produced Mest and Show Off at that point, and they'd heard those records, and they knew about Mojo Records because, a couple of the guys in the band were Goldfinger fans, and so a couple of them camped outside of Mojo Records back in the early days, and so they were on my radar, and then they found Bert, and then they came to a show in Salt Lake City, and it's just like, but they hadn't played a show. They hadn't released any music. I mean, there was really nothing. And I feel like that perfect storm, I don't know if that'll happen again, because I'm so much further down the road in my career. Like artists I work with now are usually established, or they've got proof that I'm sitting here, blood, sweat, and tears into every project doing what I do, and that there's going to be some sort of like mutual respect for each other, where it'd be really hard. I mean, it's not like I don't take risks, we just signed Gavin Magnus, who's like this, young 16-year-old kid that's like a kind of alternative artist that loves 21 Pilots and Youngblood, and it's like, I still like the idea of being able to take risks, but for the most part, I'm working with established bands now, so it's just different.
Right, that's awesome. What is that process like for you when you, whether it be an established band or a young, up and comer, what is that process of getting in the zone to hone in their sound and create, the work of art that they're about to create with you?
I mean, usually it's like a conversation. I mean, a lot of times I'll start with like some kind of, breath work or meditation or a cold plunge or boxing or like something to kind of just like set the tone that we're going to kind of get the energy, in a good place. So we're just not sitting here, because most artists are like ADD, anxiety ridden, crazy creatives, just like me and you and everybody in this community. It's like, so to try and just relieve the tire pressure just a little bit, I like to start, so we're kind of in an even playing field of like, what do we want to write about? And then have a discussion of like, what's going on in your life? I mean, are you in the middle of a breakup? I'm making this record with Ian Dior right now, and it's like, and he's kind of in this tumultuous relationship, and he wanted to write a lot of songs about, is it coming or going? What's happening? And it's heart wrenching, but that's the best kind of music that makes you feel something.
Yeah.
So I like starting with the conversation. I like starting with some kind of like concept. I mean, without a concept, I find that the songs just kind of like become midland and just kind of, fizzle away. But something that has like a point of view and a concept, I like to start with that usually. And I'm a songwriter at heart. I mean, when I was 12, I started writing music, and it's like all the other stuff. And I really should have been a drummer. I mean, that's the truth. As a kid, like Stuart Copeland, like so many great drummers, was like, I mean, I studied every fill, everything. I just studied what that guy did. And it's like, but I just smoked way too much weed in high school. I couldn't get it.
Could you play?
I mean, I could play like I play along to Missing Persons, Terry Bozzio. Like I'd play along like anything with a 4 on the floor beat.
Yeah.
And I'm greatest air drummer ever.
Yeah.
I've got a clip I'll send you of me air drumming with Travis Barker.
Hell yeah.
It's like I'm a great air. And I remember sitting at the Police in high school in 1985 at the concert, the Synchronicity concert, and I just drummed the whole show my friend's back, like the whole fucking thing.
That's awesome.
But I just couldn't, I was too stoned to be able to carry a drum kit around, so I became a singer because I didn't have to bring anything.
Yeah, you're, and I think that amongst all the other things that you've done in you know, producing, engineering, and writing, the drums always drew me to what you worked on, all your work. And do you look for any sort of particular drummer, or can you work with, if a band comes in and a drummer's not heavy on the floor or anything like that, do you look for any certain style, or do you try to merge that?
Dude, I've been so lucky to work with the drummers I've worked with. I've been so lucky to work with Brandon from Atreyu and Brandon from The Used, you know, and obviously Travis Barker and so many epic drummers. I've had Dean Butterworth. I mean, there's so many rippers that I've had in my studio. And I've worked with some that maybe not so much. And it's like those ones, like I've had to replace drummers, you know, I mean, even in my own band, Darren really, he's such a great punk rock drummer. He's one of the greatest punk rock drummers ever. But he just can't shuffle. He can't He just can't do it to save his life. And he'd kill me for saying this because he'll be like, I can't. He'd always like insist. But like if you listen to King for a Day on Goldfinger's first album, like it's like it's like this reggae beat with a shuffle, and then halfway through he just starts like straightening it out, and he just goes, it's just funny, like he just couldn't do it. So Josh Freese played drums on Counting the Days and on This Lonely Place. But Darren was like on the reggae parts, he's like, I want to play the reggae parts. And it's like this day and age, I feel like people are a lot more open-minded to having other people like collaborate and co-write and have drummers come in and play on records. But back in those days, it was like painful, right? Really painful. And I had one drummer from a metal band I was working with that just couldn't play to a click. And I remember him laying in the middle of my road at 3 a.m, like just laying there, like he was like, just kill me now, kill me. And I'm like, I felt so terrible, but not that terrible that I didn't still have the guy play, because we had to make the best music. I mean, in the end, it's like I just don't know where the soul is if I'm having to grid everything to the 16th note in Beat Detective, and there's no, like, it's just, like, I need a drummer, I need to have the foundation of the song rhythmically be there, you know, and if I'm having to, like, place the snare drum where it's supposed to be because the guy can't play to the click, it just doesn't make sense. That doesn't make logical sense to me. And it's like, and I also feel like this gives the drummer an opportunity to become better. And maybe the next record comes around and they've studied how to play to a click, and they're going to sleep with a click track. You know what I mean? Or whatever it takes to kind of get to that place.
Are you a lefty?
I play open-handed, actually.
Sick, that's awesome.
I was born left-handed. I played drums left-handed. I left-handed, and everything. I don't know. I play guitar right-handed. And I was born as a left-handed guitar player. But this guy, like, I forget who's like, dude, no one's gonna have a left-handed guitar. You gotta teach yourself how to play right-handed. So I've got like that James Hetfield right hand,
dude,
you know,
that's
just, but my left hand kind of sucks. Like I can't do any, I'm just like bar chord king, you know?
What about on the kit? Are you using your right foot?
So I play I play the kick with my right foot, and so I play open-handed. The same way the Avril drummer does.
Cool,
you know?
That's awesome.
And it's like last time I saw them rehearse when I was, where was it? I guess it was at the Forum, opening for Machine Gun Kelly. I'm like, dude, when they were doing sound check, I'm like, you gotta let me on that kick, because I'll be able to play that kick. You know what I mean?
Totally.
But it's really, you know, it's just, I've never really set up a kit. When I was a kid, I set it up left-handed. I had this little, like, I don't even know what kind of kit it was, but my parents bought a $25 drum kit. It was and I was just playing along to all the punk records back, like Buzzcocks and Social Distortion, all that shit.
Yeah, hell yeah. So you mentioned when you're in that process, you know, just having a discovery conversation about what's going on in their life, like you are kind of like a psychologist to a degree of like pulling that out. Do you enjoy that? There's so many facets of creating music, and like the drummer out there of like, just kill me now. There's so many emotions, obviously, in music, which is incredible on one hand, but in your position, you're orchestrating a lot of that. Like, what's the most enjoyable part of that process?
I mean, sometimes it backfires. There's a band called Dead that I work with, this metal band. I remember we did breath work, and the drummer just tapped into some deep emotional shit.
Oh, God.
And he literally cried for about 3 hours straight.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, man, how are we going to write a song if it's like, I mean, it was so heart-wrenching to watch this happen. It was brutal. So sometimes it becomes a therapy session. And a lot of time, I mean, usually I can think of maybe 2 times I haven't been able to like pull out of like, thousands and thousands of sessions I've done that I haven't been able to get like some kind of song from the artist, you know. But I mean, I guess the different thing about the way people write now, like 100 songs for an album. 50 to 100 songs, and then they'll pick the best 15 and put that on a extended record with 18 or 19 or whatever. And it's like, so a lot of times you've got artists coming in that are working with 30, 40 other producers, which I haven't seen it. I mean, I'm sure it works for Beyonce or Ariana Grande or artists like that, in that really like R&B world or the real upper echelon of pop music. But for the most part, like Olivia Rodrigo, Taylor Swift, Billie Eilish, they all use one producer. And you know what I mean? They Tate McRae, like it's like one producer for these big records that people really, I mean, Green Day, Blink, all these artists use one producer for these big records. It's just the way you're able to connect, because I don't know if it's going to be the first day I'm with an artist that we get the biggest song of their career, or if it's the 19th day, because sometimes it takes a minute for an artist to open up and to trust that I'm not gonna like hurt them or use information that they give me against them. They don't know me for day one, I'm just some dude.
Were you always into that process, like the breath work? I know you're into manifestation and energy. That's super important. Those are things that I've learned later in life through business of like, I need to do this because otherwise I'm going to go crazy. And I'm not going to be there for my family, and I'm not going to be able to get into the creative zone that I need to be for my business and myself. Were you always into that, or did somebody teach you? Did you, like, what got you into that to be able to find that within yourself to then be able to teach other people and draw it out of them?
When I was a kid, I was always a cynic and pessimist and negative. I mean, I was like, a nihilist. I was a punk rock kid when I was real young. I mean, I discovered punk rock at 12, 13. And I mean, that whole vibe in the 80s punk rock scene was like just destroy, anarchy, and that's all we did is just rob houses and steal cars and smash windows. I mean, that was my whole life, cutting and piercing my own ear with safety pins. It was just, but as I've gotten older, like I've found that negative shit is always there to find. There's always something wrong. But that's just, how is that going to benefit me on any level by focusing on what's wrong? I have to focus on what's right. I cannot be grateful and resentful at the same time. It's impossible. So if I'm focusing on what's right, I'm focusing on my healthy kids, and I do what I love for a living, and I've got a beautiful wife I've been with for 27 years, and all the shit that's right, and I say it out loud, like I say I love my life, because my brain defaults overnight to negativity, like it's not going to work out, I'm not going to get that project, or someone's going to quit the band, or whatever it is, like that negativity. And so I have to get up and say I love my life out loud, whether I believe it or I don't. And it's like, just that PMA. I mean, I've got to sometimes fake it. Sometimes I feel it when I wake up. Sometimes throughout the day, I'm really feeling that gratitude, and and it's there. But I don't know. My brain tends to lean negative. So I've got to put the effort in, by the cold plunges, by the breath work, by meditation, by my sobriety, by eating right, and all that shit, know? And I hope that it comes through in the music. I hope in the end, that artists that I work with like can tap into something that they want to spread, some kind of love to I'm not talking about any longer. I'm talking about real, like, positive,
Shifting gears here.
positive energy into the universe. Because I found that, like, mostly songs that I've worked on, like The Nights by Avicii is the biggest song I worked on. It's a very positive message about like, you know, being a dad and, like, you know, what does that look like for me? And I feel like that's I don't know, and it takes effort.
For sure.
And it takes action.
Yeah. What was the switch, though, from when you were a kid and a teenager doing all that, like, it up? What made you realize I have to, because it is hard. I think people, especially in a competitive world, whether it's sports, music, whatever, they see something somebody else does and they want that. Why do they have that and not me?
Yeah.
You know, and you wake up, I'm the same way. I wake up and I'm like, damn it. Like, I had it last night. I want today to be good. I want to be in the creative flow. I want everything to work, and it's not, and it's frustrating. What was the shift for you to realize, like, this is what you have to do for you? Breath work, meditation, Like, did somebody teach you? Did you read a book?
I mean, I think that, you know, like Steve Jobs said, you can only connect the dots of your life looking backwards on how things kind of worked out the way that no one's got a crystal ball. No one can see, you know, what's going to happen tomorrow. And it's like, you know, for me, I mean, I was an electrician for a month. I was a shoe salesman for years. I was, you know, worked in used clothing for years. And I did all these jobs I sold frozen yogurt that I just was not, I did not love. I was not passionate about. I did not wake up thinking, God, I can't wait to crawl underneath that apartment complex, pulling wire for this fucking, in my coveralls with dead cats. Like, that is not something I was stoked on back then. And, and so I'm like, once I, you know, got a record deal, which was, you know, like connecting the dots looking backwards. I was selling shoes, and the guy came in that had seen Goldfinger play and said, hey, I've seen your band play, and I stuck my demo cassette in a shoebox. Like that was, you know, had I not been selling shoes, my life wouldn't have worked out the way they did. So I had to, like, go through the motions of being in retail and doing all that in order to be recognized for, you know, the artist that I am. And so it took what it took to get there. But, you know, I went through a bunch of stuff, and I was like a, you know, really hardcore vegan. I would go in a slaughterhouse. I'd go rescue animals. I would do whatever it took to, you know, and I surrounded myself with, like, I was like just like a vegan Nazi, dude. You wouldn't want to eat around me. If you're eating a pizza, I'd be like, this is where cheese comes from. This video, this is the calf right here. This died for your thing. Like, all that shit. And it was like, and it became like it became overwhelming, and I needed to take a step back and just be like, dude, I had kids. My house got raided by the FBI because they thought that I had done some crazy illegal shit. They had fucking helicopters, like a fucking Bruce Willis movie, with machine guns at my head in my Bel Air house when I was with my wife, who was pregnant. We got back from the gym, and I'm like, dude, I've got to, like, it was gnarly. Raided the house, tore the house apart looking for video footage of us, you know, spray painting the governor or the mayor of Los Angeles' house. It was wild. Wow. And I'm like, got to take a step back. And so there was all this kind of, like, I don't know, just negative energy. And I just, you know, and then this shit just kind of happened in my life. Like, my dad died, my dog died. They diagnosed Julian with kidney cancer when he was 9 months old. We moved into the UCLA cancer ward, and it was in the gnarliest shit I've ever been through, having a young, like a baby that sick. And they took out his kidney. The doctors were wrong. It was a cyst. But, like, all that shit just, like, compounded into me being like, you know, and it was like, I had a manager telling me, dude, you got to change your name to fucking DJ whatever Feldman, DJ Felchman, or whatever the he said, like, because it was like, rock is dead, alternative music's dead. It was all like, you know, that the whole movement of, like, Skrillex and deadmau5 and like just DJs. There was all EDM, that movement. It's like, there's rock bands aren't selling records. You got to go, and it was like, and so we had to move from Bel Air into the Valley, where my friend said, that's where dreams go to die, the Valley, like, you know, all this shit. And I'm like, and that was the point where I just said, man, I've got to change. Yeah. I've got to change my own from the inside out, because I'm not going to, like, just grasp on to whatever's popular. Like, if I'm going to, you know, grab onto, like, some EDM whatever. Like, it's not in my soul, first off. And second off, I'm sure I could do whatever. I've been able to make any kind of music, really, but it just wasn't me. And then I started saying I love my life out loud. I started doing cold plunges, and I started eating better. I was really just this junk food vegan that was eating sugar and soy, and it was like I started eating healthier, and my life just kind of just shifted, and I just figured out how to sleep more than 2 hours a night, because back then I was sleeping none at all. And I said I love my life out. I was interviewing this kid, an intern for me, and he shows up a half hour early. And the first time I ever said I love my life, I was in my own backyard, I'm like, I love my life, and then this kid's right there, 17-year-old kid's like, I love my life too. I didn't even know he was there. He's like, whoa. He didn't get a job, but whatever. It's like,
don't show up early.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, anyway, it's just like that was the beginning of, and then 5 Seconds to Summer came along. It was like I'd already done Panic at the Disco and The Used and Story of the Year, and I had all this, and Goldfinger was, a big enough band that I wasn't having to sell shoes any longer, and I had all this success as a producer, and then it just went away for probably 2.5, 3 years, and I'm trying to support 2 kids and a wife, and then 5 Seconds to Summer just came along out of nowhere, and I'm like, and they were just, oh, dude, we love The Used. We're from Australia, and their kids, and it just happened, and they loved me, and I loved them, and we made this seminal album together.
Yeah, unbelievable. Did that record, when you worked on that, was it? We talked about some of the process of it might not work. It might take 3 weeks. It might take a month. Was that an easy flow? Did it just click, or was there a process of figuring it out and figuring out what that was going to be?
Dude, the biggest records I've ever been a part of just flow.
Yeah.
And that's not true. Story of the Year was a fucking pain. And that record's massive.
Yes.
And I love those guys, but holy shit, there was
oh man.
We fucking butted heads, man.
Really?
They're like, we're gonna be Pantera. We're gonna be Pantera. I'm like, dude, these songs, it's just, that's not what it is. It just isn't that. You can hear what it is.
Yeah.
You're playing the music.
Right.
And it's it's not Pantera.
Were they internally butting heads, or was it you?
No, it was me and them.
Wow.
For sure.
Wow.
There's 2 of the guys, Phil and Adam, that we clicked on, but it was really Ryan. And it's not Dan was sort of caught in the middle a little bit, but Dan and Josh really pushed back a lot, and that was the only real record I made with him, was that first album, and I love the album, and I love those guys, and I guess there is something about the tension sometimes that works, but the biggest records, the ones that really influenced the most amount of people and have really kind of sold the most, just kind of flowed.
That's life, man. I appreciate you sharing all of that story, and it's super inspiring. And I've, through the years, obviously we've been friends and talked about music, and I've seen you and watched what you do online, and just seeing I love my life and the people that you surround yourself with. I have, similar thing, just negative, this doesn't work, this is stressful, I'm going to go do this instead. But you're right, putting the CD in the shoebox, you had to be there to get that next step to be where you are right now. And I think a lot of the next generation of kids and the young kids that are wanting to see these things happen overnight don't want to do the work or don't know how to do the work to get it done. But it's just part of the journey. And that journey being, looking at I journal a lot. So I look internally, and I'm like, all right, why did I have to go through that back then? The changes and what it morphs you into allows you to be open to, I think, the energy field of something working, like a record just working and doing its thing and morphing into what it becomes, which then obviously changes your life for the better. You have to go through those peaks and valleys. And what a crazy story of yours, man. So I appreciate you sharing that with me, and just the energy that you're able to create through music. It's so cool to see. And all of those records you're talking about, even the Story of the Year one, definitely obviously changed so many kids going to Warped Tour and stuff. Listening to that, I was mind-blowing when The Used came out with that record. All of it, the songs, the energy, how it sounded, the drums, it was just on another level. Getting there is not easy.
Yeah.
At all.
No, but it's you don't want, a lot of kids want that like you said, that immediate gratification of releasing a song on TikTok, going viral, and having this huge moment. But you don't want that. I mean, all the great artists don't come out of the box and have their biggest hit as their first song.
Yeah.
There really isn't that, you know, in the history of music. It's like a lot of times people have come out and there's a hit, but it's like on their third record, like, you know, like The Police are my all-time favorite. And it's like, you know, Every Breath You Take is probably their biggest song of all time. And it's like Roxanne was still a hit, you know, at some radio station, but it wasn't like a global thing till, you know, album 4 or 5 for them, you know? So it's the same way with 21 Pilots, the same way with like any of these kind of artists that you grow. You have to start somewhere and grow into it, or else it's too much too soon. And then you're trying to recapture this. And how do you recapture something that goes viral? It's like, that shit is like, you can't fake it. It just happens. There's an undercurrent of people just grasp onto something, and you can't like plan it out necessarily.
Right. And especially if you're in a band together and you're traveling, and if they do get some sort of success early on and they don't know how to handle that together, if you're not grueling it out in the van together and fighting and doing all that shit for years, it's going to be hard to handle that when that success does come if you don't have that foundation, right? Like, have you seen anything like that throughout the years of a band you've worked with, of like, dude, you know, giving them advice and mentoring them to like, all right, when this happens, be prepared and make sure you guys are communicating properly. I mean, you gotta, bands and creatives, it's a business at the end of the day. You have to learn how to communicate properly and go through that process and have the right people that aren't gonna make you change your name for whatever sort of success that they think you'll gain from
Although there was a band called Smugface that I worked with, and it's one of the best albums I've ever made. It's like that's the thing about talent and songs, like the drive is so much more important than all of it. Like you know, I said, you have to, you know, Smugface, like, I just don't know if that's really it. And then the singer like came up with, he was like, I want to call ourselves the GAZE, the Gaze. I'm like, dude, I don't know. I don't know if like that's really what, welcome the gays, unless, you know, I mean, unless that's what you're going for, which I don't think that's what he was going for.
Right.
And so they changed the name to City Sleeps, and it's like we made this like epic album that never did much, but it was like, I still listen to that record. I'm like so stoked, but it happens all the time.
Right.
Like, you know, this band Drugs that I had kind of put together, like Adam from Story of the Year and you know, Aaron Stern. We had all this kind of like an emo super group that we put together, like with Craig from Chiodos, and it was like a lot of times like it's just not meant to be.
Right.
You know, it's just not meant to be.
100%.
And you just kind of got to give it your best foot forward, and then you just watch it from a distance just kind of implode, you know?
Yeah.
And it's...
I mean, just like you said, though, if you can be in a good headspace and a good energy tonight, and tomorrow morning you're going to wake up and it could just be gone.
Yeah.
Same thing with bands, you know, those ebbs and flows of the energy state. It's like if you reach pinnacle success in your mind when you're 21 years old or whatever age, what is next? Like, how do you get to that next step without the journey? The journey is it.
Well, you've always got to be your own cheerleader. You've always got to be your own biggest fan every time. Yeah. Because if you don't believe in what you're doing, no one's going to believe in what you're doing. And so you've got to be that. You've got to be that for you. 100%. You know?
Totally. Dude, thank you for sharing your story and the years of motivation and inspiration for me, and obviously so many musicians out there with the stuff you do, and obviously all the bands that you work with. It's been really cool hanging with you and kind of having you pop by our booth at NAMM and just
love it.
Giving me a nux, you know. It's been really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I was so grateful you introduced me to Trey Cool. It was like like him and Josh were doing some showcase for you or something, and it was like I got to meet Trey through, and I fucking love Green Day so much. I saw them on the Kerplunk tour at the Whiskey, and it was like
amazing.
And I was a kid. I was fucking like early 20s, you know, and it was like, I don't know,
dude.
And so thank you, and thanks for all the drums.
You're welcome.
I mean, I have, I don't know, my favorite drum sounds ever right now because I've got your kid in there.
Awesome. That means the world, man. Like, same with Trey, dude. Like, going to see them play at arenas when I was a kid, like 13, 14, 15 years old, just being like, that dude's a rock star. He is the man. insane. Like went to each other's weddings and stuff. Like this world that we're in, I think that headspace and that energy that you can get in, it's really powerful. And I've definitely had points in my life and my professional career of like, are you kidding me? Like, how did this happen? Why?
Yeah.
You know, like getting to hang out with Trey Cool.
So rad. He's one of those drummers that just like, I mean, he plays hooks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the beginning of Duke, he just diddle it. You know what I mean? Coming into it is just like hook. Like you want to like air drum.
Yeah.
Just like Grohl and I mean, Nevermind record. You know, it's like there's these hooks over and over.
It's Trey Cool, man. And like just his energy of like playing on Letterman and just like jumping through his kit and like throwing it over and running around the crowd like a maniac. Like
of course.
That dude just has it, you know, and inspired millions of people, obviously. And like, cool. Yeah, I remember introducing you. I didn't know you were at that time. I didn't know you were a big Green Day fan.
Huge, yeah.
What do you think of their new record?
It's so good, yeah. I mean, he's just like one of those writers. He's like the Lennon McCartney of the last, you know, few generations. He's just one of those songwriters that just can't. I don't know. He just can't lose. He just keeps writing great songs.
Loyal to the Craft is on a mission to create more music makers, and we've partnered with DistroKid to make getting your music out to the world super easy. With unlimited uploads and getting your tracks onto every major platform, whether you're dropping your first single or an entire record, DistroKid is the type of artist-first support that Loyal to the Craft lives for. Take 50% off now using promo code LTTC.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you. The coffee was good?
Amazing. Thank you. I'm not going to sleep tonight. You guys good with the coffee?
Yeah. That's all I care about, dude. I bring bands in here to work, but if they have good coffee, who cares about writing hits?
I've never had a raspberry.
Like
Raspberry latte,
oh my gosh, man.
Yeah.
What machine did you
I have a Miele machine, so I use Stumptown Hairbender, which is what Alfred uses, because Alfred's my favorite coffee in LA. So I use their espresso, grinds the beans, and I use Oatly oat milk.
Have you ever done anything with the coffee brand?
I should.
You should do a commercial, dude. Like, what powers John Feldmann?
I know, dude. Just
into the night,
jacked at the fucking desk right here.
Going,
just like,
dude.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.